All right, let's do this, guys. Guys, welcome to another episode of Always Making. We have some great artists on the table with us, or in the studio, or how do we want to put that? I don't know. We just keep saying random stuff every time we do a show. But we have Shanna from Shanna Creations and Derek, who is a musician. And from what I read on your bio, it's actually Shanna's biggest fan. Is that?
Yes, I am Shanna's biggest fan.
Yeah, I've done my research.
Yeah, you have done your research.
It's true. He's at every market. Yep. He hasn't missed one.
That's very cool. Okay, well, let's start with this. What got you into art and doing creative markets now?
Well, obviously I've been drawing since I was like a little kid. I feel like that's what every artist says, that they've been drawing ever since they were little. And it was mostly like fan art, like anime and manga. And I mostly just drew that. Just like I had a whole manga for Alice in Wonderland that I like did myself and like titled, and yeah, it was.
I love that.
That was the only thing I drew. And then like I just quit drawing for like probably like 5 or 6 years. I didn't draw at all. And then when I got older, I was pretty lost. I didn't go to college or anything. I just worked as like a cashier and stuff, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I think it was like I was on YouTube or something, and it was like how to be an artist and how to like sell your artwork, and I just watched it. And she was so like bright and happy, and like I was like, I want to be her. I want to do what she does. And so I bought my first iPad. I saved up. It cost like $1,000, like $200. It was so expensive. So it took me a little while. Mm-hmm. And then it took me another 2 years until I started drawing on it. So I mostly just used it for YouTube.
What's funny is I've actually done the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I had Procreate and a pen on my first iPad for the longest time. And I think I opened the software once and then didn't use it. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to play Mario Kart on this. Yeah. Or like just not doing it. And then I got an iPad Pro, and my position at work kind of was like, you know what? Everyone is like doing this. And I was like, oh, I can do this too. Why not? So then I started drawing, and then I'm like, oh, I have my iPad, and I started drawing, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this can be something.
Yeah, exactly.
How long ago was it till you like rediscovered the iPad and started going down that rabbit hole?
I didn't.
You did the Skillshare class, right?
Yeah,
that was like
Skillshare
you
class.
picking it back up.
Yeah. I started, it was like in the winter. There wasn't like anything to do, and I think one of my YouTubers said that you could sign up for like a 3-month trial for free. And so I took a Procreate class, and it was to draw an isometric room, and they taught you like how to use all of the things on Procreate, like all the brushes they gave you, and they just like went through like step by step by step. And I think that was the first thing. Like, I just didn't know how to use any of the programs. So that was so useful. And I started drawing, and I just kept drawing for like 14 hours straight. And when I was finished, I was like, whoa, I finished something.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I did 2 of them, and my teacher for that class picked mine as one of like the best, like the top 10 or something. And that like gave me a lot of confidence to like keep doing it. So yeah, that was...
See, and if I remember right, then there was like a contest going on after you completed the class, and you drew the Celestial Cafe thing for that contest.
It was for a I didn't win. I didn't win the contest.
But then, so after that, I think Shanna like put it down for a long time, and then we started dating, and she's like, oh yeah, I draw a little bit. And she showed me these 3 things on her iPad, and I was like, you could probably like draw seriously and like have a big Instagram and like sell at markets. And she's like, I don't know, really, and and now here we are.
I was saying, so that was gonna be my next question. So when did you start your Instagram and go from there?
I had those 2 isometric room drawings on there for a really long time, and that was literally all I had. And I had like 35 followers or something. Everyone from like my class that I took. And then I met Derek, and I showed him my drawings, and he was like, you should keep doing this. He gave me like a lot of encouragement because I was like too embarrassed. I was like, I don't know if I'm good or not. And I think I drew a couple of cottagecore stuff. I was really into cottagecore, like a picnic basket and stuff, and I posted it on Instagram, and then I started meeting other artists, like smaller artists, and becoming friends with them. And then I wanted to keep posting to show them like my work and stuff, and like they comment on my stuff, I comment on their stuff. And so I kind of made it like a goal to post something new every week on my Instagram. And yeah, it was just Shanna's Creations. I didn't know what to call it, and that's all I could come up with was Shanna's Creations. I thought about changing it a lot, but I could not think of anything else for the life of me.
I mean, I think it works. I mean, it's your creations, right?
Yeah, that's true, huh? It's pretty on the nose.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be that complicated or like high up there in like thought process.
True.
It's just simple and easy for people to remember. And I mean,
It's true.
it's one of those things we've remembered.
Yeah, people never forget my name since
Yeah.
it's literally in the title and like on a big sign. So it works.
To go back just a little bit for viewers or listeners or anybody that's being entertained by our podcast, what is cottagecore? I know what it is, but I mean,
Define cottagecore, Shanna.
Yeah.
Define it.
It's like romanticizing like country living and like daily like life. It's like being out in a beautiful field while it's raining or in a cottage and like looking out the window, and it's just so aesthetically pleasing. You're going on picnics, you're wearing like nice flowy dresses, you know?
So from your bio on your website, you want to renovate a Victorian style house. Is that cottagecore? Is that kind of...
No, I'm not as much into cottagecore anymore.
Okay.
I used to draw only like everything was like mushrooms and like little flowers and cute little
And everything was
picnics.
green and tan. And...
Yeah.
But then, so there was like there was a moment where you drew something that was like wildly different. It might have been the fire hand. There was a time that you drew something that was like edgier and not as cottagecore, or the clown cat maybe, and then now you've like gotten
I started
fully
branching
away.
out. I'm really into vampires right now. That's kind of my aesthetic instead of the cottagecore stuff. I don't know what to call that. The vampire aesthetic.
the Twilight aesthetic?
Exactly. I just got a brand new Twilight shirt, and I'm so happy I wore it to a market, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, I love your Twilight shirt." And I'm like, "Yes, Team Edward. Yes, let's go."
Yes.
Well, we do appreciate your cottagecore art. We do, but what we gravitated when we first met you was your Mothman, and it's actually in Juniper's nursery.
Yep.
We have it up in there because of that style of art, and we're just like, oh, we love crypto, and it just was one of those things. But where has your journey kind of gone from like where you started to where you are now, and like what's potentially looking forward for you in the future?
So I did my Instagram for probably like a year and a half. I just posted on Instagram. And then my friend, Bob, he did work at the Beehive, and he's like, I'm doing a market and you should do it with me. And I was like, I don't know if I'm scared. I don't know if I can do it. And he's like, no, do it with me. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it was like last October, not this October, but last. And
We had like 4 prints that just like laid flat on the table and like 2 stickers.
Yeah.
That was all we had at that time. But you still sold a lot that first day.
Yeah, everybody was so freaking nice. Like, all the vendors were insanely nice. Everyone, like, all the people that came up to my table, they're like, oh my gosh, your stuff is so cute. And from there, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this professionally. Maybe.
Well, every step of the way is Shanna being like, I could never do that. And I'm like, Shanna, you can do that easily. And then she's like, I don't
nice.
know. And that market was like that. She's like, is anyone going to want to buy something of mine to hang in their house?
I was
And then it
scared.
turned out a bunch of people did.
Yeah.
We can definitely relate to the like.
We literally have your art hanging in our house.
Yeah, and just going and doing our first shows, like, is anyone really gonna want what we do? Like, and then you sell the first piece, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is really cool. So Derek's playing up, biggest fan for sure here on the podcast. But I want to talk a little bit to you, Derek, as well, because first of all, you spell your name the proper way to spell Derek.
Yes. I didn't know that was the way you spelled yours, so I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's really the only way to spell it.
There's a right way and a wrong way.
Yeah, but you also have a creative background as well, a musician, singer. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I started, like, I played a little bit in high school. Like, I played drums in a high school band, and I started to learn guitar, and I really just, like, I did some local shows and stuff, but I feel like that, I didn't do anything too crazy. I went on tour one time, I played some local shows, and right where I am now, I decided to do, like, a different music project. So I've been taking a break for a while, probably, like, a year and a half now, but right when that happened, that was why when I was like looking at Shanna's stuff, I'm like I'm trying to sell my music, and your art is a way better product than my music is at this point. So I'm like, if I can get people to come to my shows, like we can sell this stuff. But yeah,
he's being modest. We went on like a 10-day tour in like 10 different states. Like every day we did a different state. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like we drove like how long?
We drove like 15 hours, and we drove from Los Angeles home in one drive.
Like every day.
To Tremont, where we live, which I guess I probably shouldn't say what city we live in.
All right.
But where we live is not actually in Salt Lake. It's like a couple hours away. So from LA to there, all in one drive.
Well, it was
last day,
10 different states.
Yeah.
How long of a drive
I
it was?
have no idea.
It was
but
crazy.
we went over to like Omaha, Nebraska, and down to Texas and
Oh
through.
wow. Okay, so
Like-
a big like cross country,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
like kind of like 4 local states or anything like. Yeah, that's a big tour for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What type of genre of music?
It was like pop punk, and now I'm kind of like I felt like I was stuck with that, so I'm moving into more like hyper pop stuff now. If you're familiar with that, like more like electronic based stuff in there with the pop punk stuff, and so I've been taking a break and just helping Shanna for a moment. And
Is there any future collab on like album art
Yeah.
from Shanna and your music? Does your music inspire her art? Like, is there kind of collaborations that way?
Shanna has done an album cover for someone I played with.
Yeah.
As far as like Shanna she's done flyers for me.
Yeah,
before.
I do flyers
Cool.
for him a lot.
But like the thing is, like I like Shanna's art, but when we work together, we're a little bit too close to it because already when she's like, if she's like, is this good? Like, should I use this color or this color? I'm like, okay, I'm on very thin ice here. I got to be careful. So when it's like my flyer or my album cover, and I'm like, I want it to be a certain way, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to work with somebody that we're not too.
Yeah. I'm more like, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And
Well, we're both very particular.
Yeah.
And Shanna's at a point that, like, she just wants to do the art that she wants to do. And I don't want to be the boyfriend that's like, hey, you're an artist. You can just make it for me, you know? So yeah. But she's done some really good flyers.
Yeah.
That Halloween flyer was, like, probably the best flyer I had.
yeah,
So.
I did a really cool one with like hands like coming out of like graves out of the floor and stuff.
Let's see.
Okay.
Guys, real quick, Chrissy's not in seat anymore. She took Juniper up. She was getting a little fussy, so we're gonna try to settle Juniper down, and then if Chrissy jumps back in, we'll continue the conversation with her. But if not, we're still here with Shanna and Derek, and we really want to know more about what you guys are kind of just being creative and like what that outlet looks like for you guys. Going forward with you, Shanna, and some of the, let's say, maybe pitfalls of doing markets for your first time, because now you're about a year into it, right? Is that about good estimate? What are some of the like kind of hiccups that you've come across and kind of conquered on your journey?
I'll give one right now. So this is the same for music too. When people are like, when you first start out, you gotta play every show you can. It's not true. Like with music, I was playing like every show possible, like even shows that sucked and were far away and hard. And like it was the same with markets. Like when we first started out, we're like, we have to do literally every market we can. And so for a while, we were doing like 2 a week, and sometimes they'd be like hours away in the middle of the night and like no guarantee. And like now we're like, we got to pick. But the thing is, at first we didn't really know what kind of markets we wanted to do, so we had to figure all that out. But
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad if we didn't live so far away from Salt Lake City, but just taking like any market and not knowing anything about them, like you don't know if it's going to be slow or not, and you spend the gas money to go there and then the vendor fee. Now that I've done it for a year, I kind of know what kind of markets I like to do and what kind of market my my stuff sells at. Because for sure, like, even in Ogden, like, I feel like some markets I don't do as well at. The farmers market in Ogden, though, that one's always popping. I love that one. But some of the ones in Ogden have been kind of slow, and, like, some of the ones, even in Salt Lake, like, I think I made, like, $40 one time.
That's always a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and the fee was $40.
Yeah, so just breaking even. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't pay for like the gas or anything, but now like I know a lot of people. I know like which ones are good, and I can talk to my friends and be like, hey, have you done this market before? Do you like this one? Like, what's it like? Is it pretty steady? And now that I know what to look for this year. Hopefully we'll be moving closer so I can do a couple different ones now, but that was probably the hardest thing last year, was just like taking every single one that came my way.
Yeah, we were very selective with the first ones. We were kind of nervous about like how far we want to jump into it. We had the Etsy store for a few years before we even did markets, and for us, our big show was Craft Lake City and DIY Fest. They're a great show. I think they average anywhere between 30,000 people that come through. We really enjoy it. You actually had one of their plaques, or is it a plaque? Is it a banner? Like what? Like it's a big billboard looking thing that you actually designed.
Oh, yeah.
I call it, I don't know, I was calling it a billboard, but I know that's not right.
Yeah.
A big sign.
It was one of those things.
But
yeah, that was the
downtown,
celebration of the hand thing.
An art installation,
There-
I think
okay,
is what they
that's
said.
a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had my buddy Cam from Camberland Creations was actually another artist that was on there as well, and so it's really cool to see the art and go downtown and see all these artists from the show, and it's really cool. And how is that to kind of like feel like, hey, like my stuff's being put out on the street now?
I always tell you at that
was
time, I'm like,
crazy.
remember when you were saying like no one's gonna buy a print, and now we're standing in front of your billboard that they asked you to do, and like you're a scholar at the DIY Fest that you didn't even think you'd get into.
I stood in front of that billboard for like 2 hours just staring at it. I was like, I can't believe like it's actually there. Like somebody like wanted to pay me money to put something on the street that other people would see. That's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm like kind of an artist, you know? Because sometimes people ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'm a barista, and I like do art too, you know?
It is that imposter syndrome that we all deal with as artists. I mean, I suffer from it. I've been doing art for over 20 years, and it's still one of those weird things to say, yeah, I make art. It's kind of, you kind of get a little like quiet and self-conscious about it kind of thing. But with that going forward, like what's the next? Do you want to do more bigger pieces, or you kind of stick with what you know and kind of wait till the next big thing comes?
I just got my online shop up, and that was like a huge goal for me. Now I'm like kind of trying to expand like with products, and I am working on some commissions. I'm doing like more commission pieces now. I'm working on a puzzle with a puzzle company.
Very cool.
So and that came out of the
that actually came from the art installation.
Yeah, the people we got in touch with about the puzzle were like, we saw your installation. And
Yeah.
now we know like all the other artists that did. I'm like, that was actually like a really like we met lots of people because of that.
Yeah. So I definitely want to do more stuff like that. I think it's like really fun to work with like other people and kind of step out of my comfort zone, because that was for something specifically I had to do that year. The year that they opened up classrooms and like workshops. So I had to draw for that year, and then I had to draw in their color palette. And it was just like a little bit more out of my comfort zone. And I had a lot of fun doing that. It was like a big piece. I think it took me like 15 hours or something like that, 14 or 15 hours. So I do want to do more stuff like that. I think it'd be really fun to collab with people like this. Like, this is my first time ever being on a podcast. And just still, things that come my way, I'm still saying, sure, why not try it out?
Yeah.
So, just
you
whatever
really don't
comes.
know what's going to come from it. Like, and just
Exactly.
kind of go with the flow. What tips do you have for other artists out there when they get a request like what you got and what you had to go through? Is there any kind of advice that you might have for them that potentially might run into that same situation?
First, I thought it might be a scam, honestly, because I got it through my email, and I did not apply for this. I was like, is this legit? Like, I looked it up, and I was like, okay, so they do actually have this like artist program. And I saw one of my friends, Megan, had one too. And so I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, did they just like come up to you out of the blue and like ask you to do this? And they're like, yeah, they did. And I was like, okay, all right.
So not a scam.
Exactly. It's not a scam.
Yeah.
So I did reply to them and I was like, hey, like, yeah, I'd totally be interested in that if you want to like send the info my way. But I think the way they like saw me is because I did apply to the Craft Lake City market. And that's must be how they found me. Because they had my email and everything. So I guess just applying to things, like apply to markets, like even if you don't think you're going to get in, like at least try. Like there's no reason like not to take a chance and just do it. Because like the worst thing that's going to happen is they say no and you just try for the next thing.
You're always going to be like thinking that you're not ready yet, but at a certain time you're going to be ready and you're going to have all of your stuff ready to go. But the truth is that you're never really going to feel ready. You just got to start and just grow into it rather than, because like you at the beginning, you're like, well, do I have enough prints? Do I have the right kind of products? Is it good enough yet? And like, we just got to start now.
Yeah.
Like, so start now.
Honestly, that is one of the conversations we have on this podcast a lot with a lot of the artists is there's always that fear of, do I have everything set in motion to be perfect for the first go? And the answer is going to be no, always 100%. You can't predict everything that's going to be needed or what you're going to face or stuff like that. But you just have to start and start somewhere. Start with a few prints and a few stickers and see where it goes. And now, how many prints do you have now in your booth?
I have
Too
a
many
lot.
to count. 2 racks, 2 baskets.
I have a lot now. And the stickers, like,
I was going to say, how many stickers do you have?
God, how many stickers do I have? I have to at least 50, right?
Yeah, we just hit that 50 mark on our stickers as well. Yeah, it's one of those like, oh, we kind of started with, I think about like 15 maybe when we kind of did it. And we're like, okay. And then it's just been like more and more and more. And you're like, where do I put all these stickers? How do I display everything? Into that conversation, how did you go about learning your booth setup and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work for you?
I actually went on Instagram and like all of the artists that I followed, I looked through all their posts, like the ones that I really liked and like I knew they were like big artists that have been doing it for a couple of years. I went through their Instagram posts and I found all of the ones they had there set up in the picture and I saved them all to one of the albums on the Instagram save things. And I just saved theirs. I went through the DIY Fest, like set up anyone that like tagged Craft Lake City in it. I went through all of theirs. I saved it. And I just keep doing that. And every time I saw somebody on my feed that posted their booth setup, I just saved it. And then I would eventually go through everything and kind of know like how I wanted my setup to be. And it was definitely like trial and error too, like how to do everything, especially the outdoors one. That one was like a lot harder. Like my setup.
Did you get like windy day and
it literally fell over onto somebody.
Oh no.
Yeah. It just started like
What
winding the print rack.
I don't know
remember?
if was I there?
Yeah, you were there. It was just like built up and like it was those grid wall things. The things that I have now.
Well, yeah, those things are.
Yeah, and it was just on the ground, just leaning against the tent, and then a gust of wind came through and just blew it over onto them.
Yeah, weather is like the worst thing for artists at
Exactly.
markets for sure.
I didn't expect that. I don't know. I just didn't think of the wind, you know.
We've luckily never been at an outdoor market and all of a sudden it starts raining. We've never had that happen yet, but one day
I am afraid of that.
Yeah.
I can tell you we had the one situation happen. We do the Brighton show and gorgeous, beautiful. If you do a show up there, it's great to escape the heat during the summer. But the first weekend we went, we actually ended the show about 1:00 because it was supposed to run till 5. They had thunderstorms rolling in. And they're like, either you can go inside the lodge because of being at that elevation. It's very dangerous to be outside. Or you can pack up and go. And we're like, well, if it's going to take 2 hours to pass, why are we going to wait? And we're like, let's just pack up. So literally as we're like packing up, it just starts coming down. And so I'm strapping stuff to the top of the car. I'm like getting everything, like things weren't thrown into the boxes the way that we like pack them and everything. We're like, just get in and let's go. And by the time we like got everything strapped, we're like, okay, we're just heading down the mountain and everything. And that it was it was great that we had a few shows under our belt to kind of know our routine a little bit, but it was still one of those like, oh man, this happened so quickly. And then the other one that really threw us for a loop was we were up in the avenues, and it gets real windy through there, and we were at the Lost Acorn Gallery doing a show there.
Oh yeah, I've
and
done that.
it just started wind picking up really, really bad. So bad that our tent was, even with all the weight, lifted up a couple times. So we're like, and like we were getting all kinds of like debris on our pieces, and we're like, okay, we're gonna cut and run on this one. I think we actually ended up losing out on that show. It just wasn't a profitable, but it was one of those like, man, the wind really ruined everything for him. We're like, all right, we're calling it, because you gotta be adaptable when it comes to the shows. But I mean, fortunately, you guys haven't had a rainy day situation yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys tend to do more indoor or outdoor shows, or kind of a good split?
Mostly outdoor in the summertime.
In the summertime, all of them were outdoor, I think. Almost all of them. And it was so freaking hot. It was terrible.
Yeah, Ogden. We've done the Ogden show as well. Being on the street, it's a great show. We love it, but it gets hot.
So hot on the blacktop. It's just...
And that's always one of the sucky parts about doing the outdoor shows. What would be some of the tips and tricks maybe you have that you've kind of conquered those outdoor shows compared to the indoor shows?
I feel I'm going to give a tip to people, but this does not mean that we follow this tip. When I think we just like our setup, there'll just be problems in it that we could easily streamline that we just never will. And it's like, oh, I wish all this stuff didn't have to be kept in like a tote bag that's constantly spilling, but then we just like never change anything. But like that whole like loading up process, like you were talking about when the storm happened, like I know exactly what you're talking about. Like you have a certain way that you load in, right?
Yeah.
Like, and like hauling band stuff like amps and drums, I always thought that sucked. Wait till you start hauling this type of stuff.
You start doing art shows.
Yeah, but we got such a specific setup now that it's pretty smooth. But
Yeah, we're way faster. It used to
Yeah.
take us like 2 hours to set up now.
and that's good because then we don't ruin any of our stuff. And
Yeah, Derek's dropped quite a few vases.
yeah, but once you figure out even one thing that makes it a little easier, it's way easier to do markets. And
I recommend getting a hand fan. That's what I have.
yeah,
So we actually ended up getting it's by Ryobi, because all of our like power tools we use are Ryobi. It's an 18-volt fan that's like really nice and small, and we just take it with us and set it on the table and keep us kind of cool. That was one of those things where like, okay, we need to get something for this heat, and that was, I think it was like a $50 investment. Worth it. 100% worth it during the summers.
100%.
Especially when you have outdoor shows.
Yeah, I'm going to need to get one of those because I think we're going to do the farmer's market a lot this summer. And yeah, I just have the hand fan, which basically saved my life, but it is not enough. When it gets like up to 100 degrees outside and you're just sitting out there for like 5 or 6 hours.
on the blacktop.
Yeah.
with like a bunch of like street carts with like cooking grills on them.
Yeah, it gets so hot. So I definitely need to invest in one this year for sure. That's my biggest recommendation. Get a fan.
Yeah.
Because you will die from that heat.
I want to get into your process for how you make your stuff. Not everyone we have on the show are their own makers. Do you print yourself through like your equipment, or do you have a third-party service? Do you make everything that's in your booth? Or like, how do you go about getting your products?
So the only thing that I make at my house is the stickers. I make all those ones myself. I planned on like making everything myself, and that was like
Yeah, we've tried. We have like 50 blank lighters with the labels off, and a bunch of crinkled up, broken lighter labels we could never get to stick, and they're all just
tote bags,
that's just an unfinished project.
Yeah,
but
it's just in my closet right now. The stickers, it almost killed me. Like, I was trying to use my silhouette for the first time, and I didn't realize it was hitting against the wall every time it printed.
Behind
yes,
it.
Yes. It's like the easiest mistake, but I did not realize it was doing that, and so all of them would not cut right. And I was like, I'm gonna throw this thing out the freaking window. It cost me like $300, but it's gone. I hate it so much. But I finally figured out it was hitting the wall, and trust me, it had a lot more problems. Like, I'm like, oh, this is fixed now, and then something else would be. But now it's been like a year and a half I've been making them, and now I kind of know.
Dialed that process in a little
Yes.
bit. Yeah.
So that it does take me a really long time to print everything and then laminate them and then cut them out. So it's sometimes I'll just be doing that literally all day long, just printing, cutting, laminating, stickers. So I don't really have time to make anything else at the house. I want to, if I can get the stickers. Like if I just start making like a couple of stickers, I'm not sure, but I don't think I can do anything else. I order everything else because I get all my prints from a local print shop.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that's really easy. And then like my tote bags, I just order from No Issue, and that one's a super good company. I love that company. It takes like a month. That's the only thing is when you order, it takes so long for
Yeah.
things to get here. And with the stickers, I can literally just make them the night before.
Yeah. How big of an inventory do you usually have backstocked for events?
We don't like, usually when we're at an event, which this isn't ideal, but making it, I guess, yourself now mostly, not ourselves at this point, but like all the inventory we have, we bring to everything. Like even like the stuff for the online, like is all just in the case that we bring.
Yeah.
But we don't have much more than goes in the setup.
I needed to be more organized. I
Yeah.
needed to organize like some stuff to stay at home now that I have the online shop. But and I have my stuff at my work too, just like out at the coffee shop. So I have them in like different places, like in the closet and then upstairs and then at my work. So I do make sure that I have a lot of like my most popular stickers. Like I'll just print like 60, 80 of those stickers, and I'll just keep them in there and it'll last for a while. So I don't have to worry about them. And then everything else, I'll order like 25 tote bags, like, or the lighters I order.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think we print anywhere between 40, 50 stickers, like when we do a run, and then we just kind of let them dwindle down in stock and then print another set. And kind of because there's so many that are rotating, where it's like, oh, this one's low, we just print at that point.
Yeah.
And doing it all in-house makes it super easy. We have Silhouette as well. It's my preferred method of cutting compared to like the Cricut out there. There just seems to be so many more problems with the Cricut, but I think I'm on the 4th generation of Silhouette now and love it. And the lamination was a thing we had to deal with, figuring out how we wanted to laminate. How many different types of like sticker papers did you go through till you found the one you liked the most?
Oh my God, I ordered so many, and I could not figure out how to make it like weatherproof either. Like all the sticker paper I ordered, they said weatherproof.
Yeah.
And it would not be weatherproof. And I don't know if it's my printer. I got like a photo printer. It's not like the top of the line one, but I tried at least like 8 different kinds of sticker papers until I was like happy with one and the way that it looked, and it was matte and nice. And then I got a laminate that I put over it, and I run it through the lamination thing and just a cold press, and still not completely waterproof. Like they're totally fine if you like put them underwater and then wash them and then dry them or whatever. They're totally good.
Not dishwasher safe.
Exactly.
I always like if someone's getting them, I'm like, don't run it through the dishwasher. It's totally better just hand wash it. It'll be totally much better.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I mean, I've gone through like stickers with like I buy professionally from like a shop and stuff, and they similar situation.
Really?
I've never had the best of luck, and like sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, and I think it's kind of a hit or miss. I've dealt with companies that do large roll sheets of stickers, and it was great, and then all of a sudden we'd put them on something, and like, oh, that didn't work. Like I'm getting better results in my like basement printer and cutting system.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of trial and error, and I get that. When coming about your prints that you have, how much trial and error did you go about finding the right print shop for you?
Well, in our town's small enough, there's only 2 in the town. So we went to the first one, it sucked, and we're like, well, we better pray that the second one doesn't.
Yeah.
But the first one is kind of like a place you can tell mostly just makes stuff for like local churches and stuff. So they didn't have very many like options of paper.
That the second place does like businesses and stuff like that. So and they were super nice, and they're like, you can just send it all to like put it on Google Drive and then just pick your paper or whatever. You probably want like the thickest one, and then like we have the nice like printer. So we just printed it out. I'm like, these look amazing. Like, yes. And I'll just order a bunch from them. They're always super nice. And if I buy or I do a lot of them, they'll give me a discount and stuff. So I love them. Like, if I move, I'm going to be sad to leave, though.
And then having to find that new thing
Exactly.
again. I mean, in some situations, because, I mean, yeah, it is a little bit of a drive, but sometimes it might be worth that drive just because you know
Exactly.
the results that you're going to be getting. I know I've talked to some people that order their stuff from the UK because it's a certain version of, like, printer material that they have. And I'm like, you can't find anything, like, in the States? And I'm like, no. And, like, at least I haven't tried that hard. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But I'm like, man, it takes, like, 2 months in some cases for them to get their material. And I'm like, that could kill you, like, business wise, if like you're sold out at a show and you have to wait 2 more months. And like, inventory backlog is definitely a hard situation with that. But when it comes to other artists out there, you guys don't have to do it all yourself. That's the best part. Like, you're finding resources, and again, shopping local and working with local businesses, you're supporting that whole ecosystem of continuing that forward. Because I know for a while, print shops, like, there used to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, like, specialty print shops are kind of dying out, and finding ones that do certain stuff is kind of harder to do. And that's kind of been our goal, is to be able to do it all in house, because finding some of the things that we want at a cost that like benefits us, it's like, well, maybe we just do it in house and spend a little bit to kind of figure that out. But it's very cool. You give an opportunity, or let's put it this way, you're sharing enough with people that they don't always have to do it themselves. You can look for resources. You went to one print shop, found that the second print shop was better. What other kind of steps did you take to find some of your other things that you're getting printed?
Like, we did the custom lighters. Derek ordered some for his bands with his name on it and everything. And the first time I ordered from like Bic.com, they were not good. They were bad. They were really
bad. There's like
bad.
a visible white bar across them where like the print like faded out.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And luckily they did like refund me that whole thing, but I could not find any other custom lighter places. So I took a chance and ordered from them again. And the next ones were perfect. Like, I don't know how like the last ones, I got too close to the mic. That's okay. I don't know how the last ones are like so messed up, but yeah, I go through Bic for the custom lighters, and now they're awesome. And the tote bags have always been perfect. I love them.
Shanna always finds her right company. In the
I looked
end,
for so long, like hours,
she's
just researching
nearly
companies.
losing her mind before reaching that point.
It's
So
true.
that's like the biggest tip, is really do your research and find the right spot for you. And I mean, across the States, there's a bunch of different local places. I've got a lot of screen printing buddies that do all kinds of specialty things, and it's just kind of word of mouth. And like, guys, don't hesitate to like go up to artists at shows and ask them, hey,
Yes.
because most of the time we want to share our information, and because the people that we go to are helping us out, we want to help them out by sending them more business. And
Exactly.
that kind of things. Derek, it sounds like you've had some experience before even helping Shanna out with all the stuff, getting stuff for your bands. How was that experience for you?
I mean, I learned a lot about selling stuff at that time, and like, I don't like when like I think about Shanna's like, because I primarily had t-shirts at that time, right? And so when Shanna's projects, like, or her products, like tote bags and stuff, where there's no sizing, it's just one, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I just see, it's made me realize, like, I'm carrying around a huge like tote bin, and I have one shirt in it, but Shanna can put like some pins in like a case this big, and it's like enough inventory for like weeks and weeks of markets. So it's really, I don't know, I find it's just easier. It's
Derek
better.
has been the most helpful with like starting everything, like starting a business, because he knew a lot about it already from his band. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. He taught me how to do the business Instagram too. You were like teaching me, and then you're like, hey, we'll come up with a business name, which is Shanna's Creations. And he helps me like
figure out your Instagram hashtags and things like that.
Like all that stuff. And like, and he always helps me move like all my stuff. to the markets and helps me set up. Like I literally could not without him. I don't know how people do it just by themselves. Like it's so much work.
I did my first show by myself last month because we have the newborn. Christy stayed home with the newborn. I was like, oh man, this is a lot of effort with not having an extra set of hands just to carry some stuff there. And so like I was there setting up. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to take a break for a minute. Because we do a lot of different product and a lot of different stuff. And I tried to downsize what we like take. So I'm like, okay, I'm not taking our full 10 by 10 booth space. I kind of did a 6 foot and still had some grids. And I'm like, how do I pre-game this as much as I can? But it still can be complicated. So it's not saying everyone out there, you need to have a second set of hands, but ask a friend, ask a buddy who's supportive about it. And sounds like you found someone very supportive. Again, on his bio, biggest, number one fan kind of thing. So, but that's really cool. What is some of the big goals going forward for this year and the shows that you plan on doing?
Shanna keeps, I know that she might not have vocalized this as being her goal, but I know she wants to do like out of state markets.
I do want to do out of state markets.
Yeah.
One of my friends, Summer, they did a market in Portland this last year, and they said it was literally amazing and so much fun, and it was just a big crazy market. And I'm like, I want to do that too. I know it's tons of work, and I think the market costs like $800 to participate in it.
Jesus.
Obviously, because it's like in a huge city. But they said it was amazing, so much fun. They love doing it, and I always see like other artists being like, we're going on a road trip. We're gonna go to out of state and do all this fun stuff, and like you're obviously still working while you're out of state. But I think it would just be so much fun to like kind of go on.
It's like going on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're working, but
yeah, I sold the T-shirts on his tour, so yeah.
Yeah, we have similar ambitions to get out of state for some of the stuff. We love going to comic book conventions. Christy's done a lot of cosplay, and like I'm a fan. I'm a nerd. That's how it goes. So we're like, okay, cool. We could set up a trailer. We can set up, and then we can go to like some just start one state over and let's go here. And having family in certain parts of the country makes it like, hey, maybe if we can figure out something there, it can work. One of my best experience at a comic book convention was in South Carolina. Smallest convention I've been into. I was actually working a pet convention that I was there for, and just happened to have a comic book convention next door, which is actually like a smaller space than the pet convention was. But like the most diehard fans and the people who you knew were hardcore fandom, like some of the like most inspiring cosplay I saw, and like the booths and the artists. I have a few patches and a few prints from like there, because I'm like, this is small town middle America, East Coast America, but it was cool to see that like that fandom goes across state lines, and I want to experience that just as much with my art and see how that goes across state lines. So I can definitely like feel for that ambition to get across. Have you looked at potentially what this year would entail to get you to another state?
Like, I've kind of looked into like Idaho. I was thinking that I would look up in like each state what their biggest like art market is, because like Craft Lake City is the biggest one in Utah every year in the summer, and Idaho has like the same thing where they do a big art market every year. So I was thinking I would apply to that and just like look up all the biggest ones and try applying to them and see what I can do. And maybe like you said, you have family in other places. I've met a lot of other vendors that have come from out of state to come here, and they're like, if you're ever there, like you can stay with us. Yeah. And we'll like, I can tell you all the best markets we do there, and like maybe just go from there. Just pick one. I think Idaho is what we're going to do next.
It's kind of the easier transition, about 2 hours away from Salt Lake, depending on what part of Idaho you're going to, kind of thing. But
I think it's in Boise.
Okay, so about a 3.5 hour drive, basically, not too bad. But yeah, again, to reiterate what we have conversations on this show a lot is art community. It sounds like you've made a lot of great friends, a lot of great like vendors and people, which that's one of the things we love about doing all these shows is we meet so many talented people. What is some of the advice you might have for people who are looking to get into that art community, potentially getting into a vendor space?
Markets are incredible. Like, if you don't feel like you're ready to be at a market, like you're not ready to sell or anything, just go to them. Just go there and like if you see an artist that you really like, just go up and talk to them and be like, I do art as well. I'm thinking about selling stuff, and they're so nice every single time. They're like, oh, well, you can just apply like this, or give you tips on how to do it, or be like, oh, just message me and I'll give you their number and you can talk to the person that does it here and we can totally get you in. Just walk up to them. Like, just talk to them. Like, they're genuinely so nice every single time. Like, I'll just go up to somebody's booth and they'll be like, oh my God, I love your stuff. And I'm like, I love your stuff. Let's do a trade. And you're automatically friends. You're just friends.
Yeah.
From there for life.
So at Shanna's first market, like, yeah, like people actually buying her stuff was a big deal, but she was surprised at like the other, what she considered to be a real artist coming up and saying her stuff was good. And like, I remember there was like people there that she'd seen at like the DIY fest and stuff, and she's like starstruck by them. But then when they're coming up and talking to her and saying like they want to buy something from her, it's like, so the point is, like, artists are all nice, mostly.
I've never had anyone be.
We're all real people.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's the reality. And it's like, we all got a very common goal, and like, we want to express our creativity in fun ways. And I hate coming across artists who want to like gatekeep and keep it for themselves, because those aren't artists. Those are they don't realize the creative community that you can have and how much creativity can be like grown from like just sharing knowledge with everybody. It's huge and goes a long ways. Like, I worked a lot of situations where I was in studio space by myself, and when I would get out to other events, I'm like, this is totally different. I actually have a big background in music with I can't play music great. Had a bunch of guitars but never really got anywhere with them. But I did a lot of photography and music videos for a lot of musicians. One of the funnest communities I had was going to a bunch of different shows with all these different artists, and they would express their creativity on stage. But when they came off stage, they were normal people. Yeah. And they just wanted to have a great conversation, eating tacos at 12 o'clock at night after a show and stuff. So like, being around creatives is huge, and finding that community, something we preach on this show is find your local community, find your other artists that you can really express that creativity with. We appreciate you coming on the show. Unfortunately, I mean, Juniper didn't want to work with us tonight on it. Is there any other advice or any kind of like tips that you have for people looking to kind of get started with all this?
Just start. Like, even if you have like a sketch, it's just a sketch. You have a notebook just full of sketches. Just post them. Just follow other artists that you like. Comment on their stuff. Be like, I like that. And they'll follow you back, and you guys will just be friends and just get started. And then you'll follow other ones in like the place that you live, and they'll start posting out markets, and you can see that they are doing a market and you can apply for that the next time. And it just goes from there. Just like one little thing just keeps building and building and building. You just have to put yourself out there. Even if you're scared.
For me, I'll say like no one is going to care if your stuff's bad.
It's true.
But they are going to care if it's good. And like, even with music, like, I was scared, like, well, what if what I put out's bad? It's like, well, if you put out something that's bad, then slowly you'll learn, and eventually you'll put out something that's good. And you just got to start.
No one's good when they start. Like, no one's just good at it.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. That's actually like, no one's going to care if it's bad. They're going to care if it's good. That's actually really, because like the people are going to like show up when it's like good, and so you got to get to that point, kind of thing. That's pretty good advice. I do appreciate that. Where can they find more about you, Derek? Where can they find more about you, Shannon? Sorry, Shanna.
That's okay. I get that all the time.
I did the whole podcast great, and then at the very end I blew it.
All good.
Now,
where can they find out more information about you guys?
This is your time to do you can follow me on this at this, and my website is this. So
I'm really only
I need to memorize that for you, but
I'm really only on Instagram at shannas.creations. And then my website, shannascreations.com, that I just started. So yeah, you can find me there. I'm not on Twitter, or I guess X now. Or I do have a TikTok, but I've posted like 2 videos. I need to get into that.
And you can find me on Instagram at Derek or whatever. Derek spelled the correct way.
That's Derek for you non-proper Derek spelling people out there. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this with us. sharing your art journey with everybody who's watching, and just coming down and hanging out and having fun.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank
This
you
is
for
so
having us.
crazy. I've never done anything like this.
Well,
So fun.
We appreciate you guys coming down. And guys, let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do on all the different channels and platforms this is playing on. But leave a comment. Let us know other artists that are out there, where your guys' art markets are, what inspires you guys. So we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.